Good evening, Shark Squadron. This is Shark 3-1 with the first of the F-4E tutorials in DCS World. You join me in Afghanistan, where we'll be starting up the Phantom and taxiing it to a runway for takeoff. So, for this tutorial, we will be using the start cartridges. This is the main way that I started up. I will also leave in the description how to start it up with the cart to our left here. So you want to come over to the gesture wheel with A, crew chief end signals, air source, load start cartridge. Whilst that's happening, we'll come down to the throttle, and you have these two switches, engine, master switch, left and right, flick those to on. We'll also come over to the right panel, turn generators on, source turn attack and IFF, and radio on. Let's tell Jester what heading memory
okay, stored heading.
Heading memory is the fastest. If you can't use that, then do a full landing. So the start carts should be loaded by now. So we will we'll left click the right throttle whilst holding the right ignition and move it to 50% and then back to idle. Whilst holding the ignition, you'll come down to the start switch and right click it. So you hear a thud and away, and now the engine RPM is coming alive. At 30% you can let go of the ignition. And let's close the canopy with left control C. Let's also turn on the oxygen, anti-skid and stabog. Now that engine's good, we start left engine with the same procedure, and let's tell Jester we want that to get started.
Roger that.
Now left click the engine start switch. Okay, now let's come down to the throttle again, press reset core, hold that with the right click. Now we can left click the altimeter to get rid of the standby flag. Next, let's left click the standby ADI to get it off of standby and make it active. Let's extinguish this master caution with left click. And let's set the HUD to cage and the DSCG screen mode to radar with a right click. Let's see what we'll be taxiing for this sortie. Yep, so it's just a quick taxi out to the left, then right, then left again, onto runway 23. Now you'll also want to come down to this dial here on the right. To the right of that is the radar missile continuous wave switch. Set that to standby. That will align the missiles with the kind of frequency of the radar, and then after about 5 minutes you can set that to on. Now a neat thing about the Phantom and Tomcat for that matter is you know if Jester's done with his alignment because he will turn the RWR when it's done, so if I go AFK to like use the loo or get a drink or whatever, I'll know if he's done because the RWR will be powered and I'll be getting, yeah, I can see it's on, so that's how you know if he is done without having to be. So we're gonna, for takeoff, trim down about 2 or 3 degrees is good. We'll go 3 and set our flaps to landing.
Alignment's done. Go primary sync now.
Okay, adjusts the INS, RWR's on like I said. We'll come down to this right panel behind the chair and hold this with the right click to align it with the INS. So now the compass is ready, we can set that from standby to prime with the left click. And now the compass is aligned with the INS. So let's begin to taxi. Before we can do that, we come down to the crew chief, wheel chocks, remove.
Roger.
Now the Phantom is like the F-4E, if any of you have ever flown that, in that you need to hold the nose wheel steering button as opposed to just toggling it on and off in mode taxi. So if I just use the rudder, it won't use nose wheel steering. I have to hold the button for it to for the nose wheel steering to come on. You see, I'm holding it now. I'm not holding it now. Holding it now. Not holding it now. So Jester's about to ask me about altitude. I say that I always fly low to Jester and I tell him which feet. Now, I personally choose to do this because I think it gives him a higher tolerance for like not prematurely ejecting, which some of you Tomcat drivers will know he has a tendency to do. If you tell him you're expecting to fly really low, then in theory he shouldn't eject as often. I've never had him do that when I do this.
Oh, I'll be puckering for this one.
And you also have some really funny voice lines, so that's always a bonus. So as for takeoff speeds, you want to begin to rotate about 150 to 160 knots depending on payload. We're quite light with only sidewinders, spanners and 2 wing bags. So we should be able to kind of rotate about 150 and take off about 200 to 220. As far as I'm aware, the Neverx speed limit for the gear and flaps is about 250. I've never had issues with the flaps. I mean, usually it's about 220 for flaps, so I don't know. But I just say be safe. As soon as you take off, put gear and flaps up, and just maybe pitch up a little bit to accommodate for the extra, I guess, the lack of lift from the flaps. So to taxi in this thing, as well as on your takeoff and landing runs, you can also use your wheel pedal, your rudder pedals, to use the left and right wheel brakes, which kind of which really helps, especially because the nose wheel steering is way too sensitive and delicate to use on a takeoff or landing run anyway. So I'm gonna hold either D or both of my rudder pedals to use both wheel brakes, and I'm gonna increase throttle to 100% in afterburner, which you'll see confirmed by both of the engine RPM dials at that kind of red, which means afterburner. So I'll do that. Then once I hear the afterburners engaged, and I can confirm with those dials, I'll let go of the pedals and begin my roll. Engine throttle, can you hear that click from the throttle too? Let go of the pedals. Now I'm just using the rudder pedal kind of toe brakes to kind of grab myself down the roadway.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
Now the reason Jess is giving those voice lines is he thinks that was taxiway. I know this is runway, I can just ignore what Jess is saying. Okay, rotate, and wheels coming up.
1 o'clock, and nails. 1 o'clock.
Wheels up, flaps up, nose pitches down, so let's pitch up to accommodate for that.
20 miles, 3,000.
Now that we're in the air, let's come down to the left panel. You see this switch here, right click that. What that'll do is begin taking fuel from the wing tanks. A left click takes fuel from the center tanks. And you can see that's confirmed by the fuel dial increasing from about 1140 back to about 1170-90 over that. The Phantom cannot draw fuel from the wing and center tanks at once. So you need to choose Personally, I'd always recommend just taking the wing bags and don't take the centre bag. You've seen this a lot in real Phantoms too, they rarely ever take the centre bag. And this is because it actually inhibits the firing of the front two Sparrows. So I usually put like bombs in that pylon, and then I'll have the wing bags. Okay viewers, so that is how you start up, taxi and take off in the wonderful Liebler F-4E Phantom 2 in DCS World. Hope you have a wonderful evening viewers. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe and share the video. I hope to see you in the next one viewers. Shark 3-1 signing off.